Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Dota Trash presentation of the King of the Hill Dota Trash Destruction Tournament. This is the Sneaky Nyx Assassin going up against the North American Rejects here in this best of three. Thank you guys so much for tuning in over on twitch.tv/Dota Trash or in Dota TV if you have the ticket. Happy to be able to bring you guys this game. I am Blaze, joined by Gorgon. How's it going, man?
It is going very well. I'm happy to be back here. I thought it might be a little bit longer before our next Dota Trash because the schedule got a little bit screwed up with a lot of the tournaments going on. There were some scheduling considerations with, I think CNB was next. Anyway, we do have North American Rejects coming in, and as far as I'm aware, this is their first big ticket event since they made the team. So this should be a really interesting match.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, a lot of star players here. Brax played for LGD Int, KOTH has played for a lot of different teams, and even 1437 is getting back into it. So, yeah, I mean, this is pretty interesting. Sneaking, KOTH, all very, very well-known players, and they're going up against what I would say is the most improved NA Dota team. I mean, Sneaky Nyx Assassin has gone from almost nowhere, but picking up Fluff and stuff most recently, they have just skyrocketed in their potential, and they love to play an aggressive style, so we're sure to get some amazing games of Dota here.
Yeah, despite what you might have seen coming out of Sneaky Nyx Assassins against EG over the last week, and they typically bring the heat and they bring the thunder. We've been seeing a lot of Sneaky Nyx Assassins in the North American scene, just generally around. That's competitive level scene, including the Sunday Evening Cup series, the Thursday Evening Cup series, a lot of amateur series as well, where they've obviously been mopping up because they're old pros. But they've also, here in the Dota Trash King of the Hill, they've held against, I think, 4 teams now and have still yet to be kicked off the hill. So we'll see if the North American Rejects have what it takes. They are a new team, and they may not have the synergy that it takes yet to really deal with an aggressive style like Sneaky Nyx Assassins uses.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, right now the Centaur being picked up immediately and having a lot of potential there, but the Puck is actually a pretty good answer. If you consider the Dream Coil, people are hasted, but they're still locked in a small position. That's going to be really effective for North American Rejects team fights, as long as they can get out of the laning phase. For right now, it looks like one support picked up for each side, the Rubik and the Dazzle, and then, of course, offlane Centaur and mid Puck. But where do you go from here? I mean, looking at potential carry pickups, they've already banned out the Lycanthrope, the Amber Spirit, the Naga Siren, so there are less options, but there's still so many ways you can go with this.
Yeah, well, Sneaky Nyx Assassins has a couple of options available to them. One, they could grab that Doombringer, who would be very effective against both the Dazzle and the Puck. They also could go with that Skeleton King, the Wraith King, which they do love to run. They like to get that Wraith King with the stats and stun build moving into a 20-ish minute radiance and then absolutely wrecking through the mid-game. They have run that alongside the Centaur Warrunner before. That Centaur Warrunner will almost certainly be in the hands of Mike, so I think we'll have a better idea what's going to come out once we do see who they decide to mid up against this Puck.
It's a tough call. I mean, the Invoker was left in the pool, so that is an option, but not necessarily a favorable matchup. Sure, he can add some decent utility once he gets some greater points in his orbs, either the Exort or the Wex, but I'm not sure if it's the route they actually want to go. I've also seen some interesting team lineups where people go for a Bat Rider mid with the Centaur so that they can couple the Flaming Lasso and then stampede him away, and that would definitely be a very powerful combo of just picking somebody off, pulling them away from the Dazzle so he can't Shallow Grave, and in general just completely disrupting the game plan of the opposition. But not sure if they want to pick that up outright, because obviously there's a lot of supports that can counteract that. The Abaddon, the Vengeful Spirit, even we've seen more recently like people using the IOs Relocate to actually break that. So it's a hard decision to make, but it is a pretty good option.
I think actually the North American Rejects, they might be going for a Bat Rider off lane themselves. They did get rid of the Disruptor, who is fairly strong up against that Bat Rider, just pulling him back, breaking in, and capturing him when he does try to play a little bit too far ahead. They still need an offlaner, and Bat Rider is very popular at the moment. So I would not be at all surprised to see them grab that as their offlaner in their 3rd or 4th pick. Sneaky Nyx Assassins, they're going to get rid of the TA and the Shadow Fiend, worried about that negative armor strategy in conjunction with the Dazzle. I'm surprised to see them more worried about those two traditional mid heroes rather than the Slardar, though.
Yeah, I mean, there are a decent number of heroes that can go well with Dazzle no matter what. So it's hard to ban exactly, but it is really weird to ban that out when you already have the puck on line specifically, because obviously there's ways to offlane the puck or maybe run safe lane solo when you aggro try, but generally you're going to see the puck mid, and Templar Assassin and Shadow Fiend on the safe lane is just not nearly the same hero. So I definitely agree with your sentiment on that one, but either way, that's how the draft will fall, and they're going to go ahead and pick up the Luna. They ate into bonus time pretty hard here, so it was a difficult decision for them, but that's what they settled on.
Yeah, there's going to be the AA. I'm surprised it took this long for that AA to actually come out here in the draft ban. Very, very strong, and with that AA, we should see some heavy early game aggression coming out with that Chilling Touch, the additional attack damage that comes out. 50 attack damage is almost a double damage rune equivalent for 2 attacks on 3 heroes in a tri-lane. It's absolutely ridiculous. You couple that with the fact that the Ice Blast from a decent distance, about 3,000 to 4,000 range, which is not so far that you can't get yourself into a fight, but is far enough that you're safe. Casting it from about that range means that you cover up almost the entire area of a Dream Coil and a Weave, so you've got a huge AoE combination for team fights coming out there. Sneaky Nyx Assassins are going to grab the Luna and the Shadow Shaman, doubling down a little bit on some push, and that Luna presumably is going to be their farming carry, so we're still just looking for their mid to be coming out.
Yeah, so they're kind of keeping that card hidden on the table until after the final banning phase, and Shadow Shaman really works well for their lineup. In general, it's going to be harder to push against an AA because of the Ice Blast, but the wards obviously aren't affected by that, so it's really solid to get some early tower momentum, and it's also one thing that they pick up just frequently for their own playstyle. Whitebeard loves to get the Blink Dagger up early on Shadow Shaman, as you talked about the last time we got to cast these guys, and he really does like to be the playmaker. An instant hex on a puck, you really could take him out of the fight very, very quickly, and that would be a big deal. But they are going to face some opposition here. I mean, obviously, the Dream Coil into Ice Blast is a very painful combo pre-BKB, and then the Nature's Prophet here is going to be trying to do some split pushing the entire time.
Yeah, Nature's Prophet is a really fantastic pickup here. Not only does that give them a huge amount of global initiation with the Nature's Wrath and the Ice Blast, but his ability to save in by moving in with the puck surreptitiously, puck and throw in that Blink Orb combo and initiate from an enormous range. Nature's Prophet can teleport in globally, and you can just basically pickle people all of a sudden as though you had an IO combination. Just be anywhere you want to be. Basically anywhere on the map. If that puck is not visible, you have to worry about 2 heroes popping in out of nowhere. So the Nature's Prophet really working out, and they have saved their carry, which does mean they're not going to get that Slardar. That is going to be banned out next. I think a Spectre pickup for All-American Rejects might be on the table here to double down on that global initiation.
Yeah, it's very possible. If you have the vision from the Spectre's Haunt, you will guarantee Wrath of Nature on all your targets, and if even a couple of them have been hit by that Ice Blast, that brings them very, very dangerously close to shattering outright. But the final selection for Sneaky Nyx Assassin is going to be the Earthshaker. Now, traditionally, obviously, the Rubik, the Shadow Shaman, and the Earthshaker are all supportive heroes, so that's a little bit odd, but when you consider the potential for the Earthshaker to pull the lane, pull the waves over to different things like the neutral creeps, that can change the state of affairs and make it more difficult for certain heroes like Nature's Prophet to find that ever-important experience. So, obviously unorthodox, but there's a lot of ways they can run this.
Yeah, this is... I mean, for Sneaky Nyx Assassins, that Earthshaker could also end up running in a rotating try, and then they decide to throw that Shadow Shaman mid. They could decide to throw the Rubik mid in a good old-fashioned, like, what is that, 2010 style build on the Rubik. That used to be very, very common and very, very popular to get that very, very quick spell steal up and also get the null field up pretty quickly as well to mitigate some of the magic damage. Of course, in this particular situation, the magic damage coming out of the Rejects is not staggering. They've got a fair amount of DPS, and their initiation is really good, but the magic damage is not so much that you need to get a quick, like, 9 or 10 on that Rubik. Even so, Sneaky Nyx Assassins are trying out something new here with the first match of this best of 3 that I haven't seen them do. These are all heroes that they do like to play, but I haven't seen them run this particular squad without the clear mid laner before.
Yeah, the biggest issue I think is mobility right now. Puck, obviously with the orb and early blink pickup, is going to be all over the map. Like you said, the Nature's Prophet is waiting in the wings with that teleport. That's going to be problematic for heroes that have like 285 base movement speed. Luna's quick on her feet, Centaur gives that stampede once he hits 6, but early on, as far as rune control, Rubik and Shadow Shaman, they don't have it because of their lack of mobility. So, like I said, Centaur will alleviate that. Getting maximum movement speed on two of the slowest heroes in the game is actually a pretty good synergy, but when it comes down to it, for right now, they are going to have issues if they get ganked early and if they are kind of under the gun. But that makes it difficult for North American Rejects to finalize their selection. 5 seconds remaining. We will see they'll be tri-laning alongside the Dazzle and the Ancient Apparition with that Spectre. So
yeah. No surprises on this Spectre. Like I said, the global initiation potential of that Spectre, and doubling down on the fact that you're going for mostly a DPS-oriented build for your team does make it very difficult for sneaky Nyx Assassins to go in and make that counter, especially since that Rubik, all the spells that he really wants to steal, with the exception of Weave and Grave, are going to be cast well far away from him, making it very difficult for him to use that spell steal truly effectively. My worry for Sneaky Nyx Assassins is that they don't have quite as much late game as the North American Rejects, but they do have a lot of early game farm requirements. So you have at least 3 Blink Daggers that are going to be coming out on Sneaky Nyx Assassins, possibly one on Whitebeard on the Rubik as well. So Luna, the only hero here that it's pretty uncommon to see a Blink Dagger on. Meanwhile, North American Rejects... Puck needs a Blink Dagger. AA will eventually want an Agamas, but all things said and done, he's pretty happy with what he starts out with, and just getting some really basic items out and using that Ice Blast globally. Dazzle, once again, pretty happy just with his basic skills. Nature's Prophet needs some farm, but he can retire to the jungle, unlike Centaur Warrunner. He can do very, very well in the jungle at a very early level, so he's not really that worried about grabbing his farm. I just think that North American Rejects have better avenues for getting the farm they need.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, there's a lot of potential there, and of course, once they get it, they're going to be able to do so much work. The scalability of the Spectre pales is just beyond anything that SNA are really bringing. I mean, sure, Crit Shaker is fun to watch if he gets farmed, but really the Luna is the only carry that they have to worry about, and they easily can trounce her with the late game potential of a Furion combined with a Spectre. So,
yeah.
Along with that, the fact that she's not going to be able to lifesteal against the Ancient Apparition, and that she can't go for that traditional route of item buildup, it just is going to be hard to really bring this to the late game, and they want to put more emphasis on that early. So they're going to be looking at Shadow Shaman getting a quick level 6, and that's why they're going to be running him, I believe, in the solo mid, as we do see support items picked up by both Rubik and Earthshaker. Looks like SNA Dota is going to be picking up the Rasta for the mid.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. That is a playmaker hero for this squad, and has increasingly become a playmaker hero across the competitive and professional scene. So SNA probably, almost certainly, going to be taking that into the mid. The only alternative that I can see here is that we could see... Well, no, yeah, it looks like that is... I don't see another alternative, given the way that the players have divided the heroes up. They could have had... They had a couple of other potential options before they've divided their players up, but obviously now that everybody is kind of set to the play role that they are expected to play, we're not exactly going to see Mike running in a tri-lane. That's not something that comes out basically ever for the squad. So we are going to sit through this pause, but we can go ahead and introduce our players real quick. I'm going to run through Sneaky Nyx Assassins, where we do have Whitebeard taking the Rubik. SNA is going to be taking that Shadow Shaman. Bright's going to be shaking it on the Earthshaker. And then we've got IX Mike taking the Centaur Warrunner, and Ush is going to be on that farming Luna.
Yep. Looking over at the North American Rejects, we're going to be seeing that Brax is going to be running on the offlane Furion.
I'm going to go ahead and let you know right now the overlay is still on. I don't know if you fixed it yet or not. Nope, looks like it fixed right as I said that, so 2 minutes ago. Go ahead.
Sure enough. All right, so we're going to be looking over at Puck, going to be played by Korok on the mid. That is going to be the carry Spectre, picked up by Snaking. Ancient Apparition going to be supported as 1437. Finally, that's Fun on the Dazzle, supporting up as well.
Yeah, so I believe that Fun is fogged, right? And no coaches is snaking, so...
No, Fun is Fun.
Fun is Fun.
Fun is just an individual. Not a lot of people know him as well, but no, Fogged is not on the North American Rejects. They still have a lot of really familiar faces, though, that's for sure.
Oh, I see Fogged on their official roster, is why that came out from me.
Okay.
So maybe they have a larger roster than they have actual players that can play. So
makes sense.
Fun is somebody that I actually recognize, but I just assumed because I don't see Fun on the roster, but I do see Play. Whitebeard's going to get into a little bit of trouble down here.
Yeah, that's an insane creep block coming out from Brax and setting up a perfect first blood. Dazzle's going to pick it up. I'm surprised I didn't really hand it to the Spectre since it was such a conclusive first blood, but whatever. They get the kill, and they will indeed Sentry Ward up the Ancient spawns so that SNA don't have that route if they try to go for Fluff and Stuff Fisher blocks.
Yeah, so SNA, they do the exact same warding every single match, basically. On the Radiant side, they will always go ahead and drop this block ward with this Vision ward somewhere, either here or here. If they're on the Dire side, they throw down this block ward with this Vision ward right here. They do it every single time for Ice Mike. It's as though he doesn't know how to offlane anymore without that sort of vision. I'm just waiting for one of these teams to come up and try and knock them off the hill, having watched any of their matches from the King of the Hill, and just go, oh, they always do the exact same warding configuration. Why don't we just counter ward it right away?
Yep, and that's obviously very possible once teams get a little bit more researched in these matchups, but for right now, they're relying on it. As soon as they start failing with it, of course, it'll be more of a thing that a crutch that they have to drop. But for now, it's working for them. It's great blocking wards that won't be dewarded, and that makes it very difficult for them to go for extensive pulls. Along with that, we do see that Fluff and Stuff was able to drop a nice little ward in the crevice here, and they were able to get these Ancients unlocked. So already screwing up Korok's plan of getting early levels on the puck. He will find level 2, but we'll be staying there for some time.
So Fluff and Stuff is probably going to spend a little bit of time here by this mid lane, and then, yeah, exactly, do the pocket strat where he tries to pull creeps up to the Ancients, which is where he's headed. Unfortunately for him, he's not going to be able to do this for very long because that is a very, very intuitive ward block here. Korok is going to be coming over and doing a fair amount of harass to Bright. Fluff and Stuff might die here.
Yeah, doesn't have the Waning Rift, went for the phase shift, so I think he's okay, but cutting it close. One hit away from bringing down the Earthshaker.
And now he's going to presumably have to go, well, he's going to pop a Clarity and eat a tree and hang around. This is a risky call, especially considering, yeah, look, these guys are just going to farm out the Ancients for him, save him the trouble of it. So suddenly this laning configuration where you do have that jungling Earthshaker who is going to open up some avenues to farm is falling apart up in the top lane. Ice Mike is probably going to go down.
Yeah, this is not looking good for him. They're going to get the TP in. Last right click will go to Brax, and that's a pretty clean kill. If they want to turn this into a push, they can, but looking over at the Nature's Prophets, mana as well as cooldowns, it just doesn't seem as functional. So just a quick TP scroll back. Pretty much the gank pays for itself, and they shut down Ix Mike just a little bit more, trying to delay that stampede. The big deal is when SNA picks up the level 6 on most of their heroes, when they get the Serpent Wards, when they get the Stampede, Spell Steal even, very, very important cooldowns that they are lacking in these first few minutes that create space for Spectre to farm.
So Fluff and Stuff is sitting here with 20 experience at almost 3 minutes into the game, and he's got no avenues for farm available to him, really. It is possible to pull the creeps out this way if you do it exactly right with Earthshaker, but it's much more difficult than going around to the Ancients. This counter warding is not going to work up here by the Ancients. We can actually see that the ward is in the crevice, so it's just outside of the range of the sentry that was dropped. And I don't know, Fluff and Stuff is really hard-pressed to get himself some farm. He is going to try to pull over to the smaller camps. He's got this stacked up. He'll probably make this one. He'll at least get, yeah, he will manage to grab this one. So nice play out of Fluff and Stuff, getting himself something out of this lane.
But I don't think he's even going to leech it. He's so low HP, he's worried that Korok could just come over and orb him, so he's pinging it out. That's going to be experience more for the Shadow Shaman, but he himself is sitting on 20 experience, and it looks to stay that way.
Poor Fluff and Stuff. He is just sitting level 1. At least, at the very least, Earthshaker is a hero that you can be pretty happy at level 1 for a while, because Fisher is such a strong move. It's got that stun along with that impassable terrain buff. That Fun is going to chase Ice Mike completely out of lane here in the top.
Yeah, another.
He's been pinged out as well. Yeah.
Oh, I think, yeah, Korok's rotation as well as Brax. This is going to be a pretty clean kill. The stun can come through, but look at that Sprout.
Oh!
Locked in place, nowhere to run, and Dazzle picks up another kill.
3-0, going the way of the North American Rejects on their first night out on the town. You gotta love it. And Sneaky Nyx Assassins, God love them, but they've been here at the top of the King of the Hill for a long time now. I basically only cast this team between the many North American tournaments I've been doing for weeks. It is nice to see a team coming out strong in the early game against him, because this is this period in time where, SNA's going to come in on KOTH.
Ooh, there's so many stuns here. There's no way that KOTH gets out.
Yeah.
They pop off a little more than necessary, perhaps, but they wanted to guarantee that kill and get some good experience for Earthshaker. Now, a free level for him. Yeah, I mean, Aftershock's not really going to make that much of a difference, but moving in towards level 5, towards level 6, he really needs to make that adjustment. So, yeah, they do get a nice little pickoff for KOTH, delaying the Blink Dagger, and that's going to be ever important.
I don't know what KOTH was doing up on high ground there. He knew that there were 3 heroes missing. He knows that there's a ton of stuns, and that his laning partner has 2 strong disables that work very well against the puck. The Shackles and the Hex. Oh, he's going to... Oh, that's the Aftershock being used out by Shadow Shaman, and he used all his mana, and he's going to have to back out right as 1-4-3-7 and Fun try to rotate around with that smoke on, but they're probably not going to find too much of anything unless SNA walks up into them on the high ground here.
Yeah. He actually used a Clarity on himself when he was essentially full mana, so I'm not sure if that was a misclick for trying to get it on the Dazzle, or if he really feels like he needs the full component of a double Ice Vortex. But anyways, yeah, the big deal here was vision. The fact that the Dire had no vision on the bottom rune, they didn't know that the Shadow Shaman was invisible, and that's what kind of set that chain in motion. Still over-aggressive extension by KOTH, but to be fair, it's a little understandable with the rune. Now, the level 6 is up, Mass Serpent Ward's available, and Earthshaker going to try to start with a Fissure. Nice block after the phase shift. They get the Hex in the Serpent Wards, and the Shackles will set that for the kill. A very nice one. Of course, it is out of range of the tower, but you can still clear out a couple waves with it, and these kills on puck are so important.
You saw that KOTH was thinking about coming in and engaging on that as soon as the Serpent Ward trap went down. He went, nope, I'm all right. I'm cool. You guys do what you're doing over there. I'm going to stay where I am. And... Or Brax, excuse me, not KOTH. Yeah, so far, though, the Spectre doing a solid job keeping himself just a nose ahead of the Luna, making sure that he's getting his farm, and that is with the additional kills that he has gotten in his lane. There have been no rotations up onto the Spectre whatsoever. Yeah. And considering that they have an Earthshaker who's basically just roaming, this is going to be that rotation we're looking for, presumably. Because, yeah, SNA is spending a lot of time focusing on this puck, and they're going to continue to focus on this puck, actually, as the rotation mid comes out.
TK, easy setup, easy kill. I mean, actually, a little bit of a misplay. KOTH face shifts out, and he's going to be able to jaunt. Wow, they just let him go with that one. And now the Spectre Honk comes out, a lot of damage onto SNA, and he will fall in turn. Oh, completely whiffing the opportunity. And with the Dream Coil onto Whitebeard, that's going to be 2-0. Very nice rotation coming out of North American Rejects, but I gotta say, that was a mistake from SNA. I mean, not going for the Shackles on the puck to guarantee it. They just stacked too many CCs, and KOTH broke loose.
Yeah, that was a sure thing. You looking at that setup, you could have bet money that that was going to go the way of Sneaky Nick's Assassins. They are just off their game. And like I was saying earlier, this is the period of time in the game, especially right about now, like that 6 to 12 minute mark, when Sneaky Nick's Assassins really have a tendency to move in strong. Ice Mike literally just standing next to Fun and letting him poison touch him. Fortunately for IX Mike, the Nature's Prophet didn't feel like globally reacting there, and the Spectre didn't want to go and throw that dagger, so he's going to be all right, but this is just, it just feels like sloppy play coming out of Sneaky Nick's Assassins, to be 100% honest.
Yeah. They're still not out of it. They still have plenty of potential to get some good ganks off, get a Blink Dagger up, and make some plays happen, but they really need to kind of shake it off and get it into gear. Right now, Luna forming up a storm with the Hand of Midas, going to come off cooldown in a moment, and is almost matching the net worth of the Spectre, but the big deal here is the tower game. Pushing in is got to be the emphasis for SNA as they try to avoid that late game potential. And they will throw out some great nukes, have the wards down, dropping the tower below 400 HP.
Those wards early are so devastating, because normally those wards come out a little bit later, about 4 or 5 minutes later, because it's on a support, and they end up coming out at about the same point in time when you're able to sort of farm them out as a Spectre if you have a little bit of help from your allies. If it's up on a tower, but you can force your opponents off the tower, then you can come in and get a little bit of farm from those wards. But at 8 minutes, 9 minutes, those wards pump out so much damage, you can't really risk going anywhere near them. So SNA for the next maybe minute and a half, so maybe one more cast of those wards, are going to have a tremendous push advantage, even more so than a Shadow Shaman normally brings to the table.
Now, it's worth noting that there was a kill attempt on the Luna down bottom, but because they don't have any guaranteed lockdown, she was just able to TP away. They committed the Ice Blast, the Wrath of Nature, just every spell in the book, but simple TP away. They don't have any way to prevent it. So that was
she's a little too tanky for that global strat right now. As Wrath of Nature starts pumping out more damage and Ice Blast has a higher death queue, we might see that change.
Absolutely, but now we see a little bit of movement. Oh, the Haunt gives up the Goose. So we're going to see up top there's going to be some damage. Ike's Mike probably going to drop down here. Yeah, the last right click will successfully finish the job. That passive is so strong. The Desolate able to single out any individual and really, really bring the hurt to them. But we'll see if they can follow through with any push for right now. 3-man on mid. Oh, Ice Blast plus Dream Coil. And the orb will pop the Rubik. KOTH getting out with no real trouble at all.
And he's actually stuck by this Fissure. He's trying to get back in the lane, but 7-2 in favor of the North American Rejects. And I don't really see the avenue for Sneaky Nick Assassins to get themselves back into this game anytime quickly. There is still no Blink Dagger, and nowhere close to a Blink Dagger up on Earthshaker, who just recently finished his Mana Boots. The Blink Dagger isn't even up on IX Mike yet at 10.5 minutes. And like I said, IX Mike on the Centaur isn't really have a lot of avenues for farm. He's got to go get heroes. There's going to be the Stampede in top lane. IX Mike coming in, throws down that Sun to double edge. That is going to be the kill. SNA throws out the East Drive. Now, Brax is going to be held down here, and he is going to be loosened beamed and taken down finally. A nice swing in favor of SNA. It did, however, cost him a tier 1 tower.
He lost the tier 1 tower. Brax was able to buy out his Midas, so he didn't lose any gold. And now the Blink Dagger is up on Puck. It's a victory, but a bittersweet one. They really need more. They get some movement. They get some kills. They're still behind, and they're still looking for the next big thing.
Yeah, they're still looking for the first big thing. And they're actually going to trade off 2 tier 1 towers for that engagement, possibly. As KOTH comes in, no. The deny attempt does go out from Whitebeard, but it does not land quite soon enough. And the Blink Dagger is up on KOTH. So he's got an Invis rune too. He's going to re-engage here on SNA, and SNA has no idea.
Ice Blast is going to miss. They shouldn't. Even with the Wrath of Nature, this would be bad. So I think KOTH will, as aggressive of a player as he is, I think even he will back away from this one.
I think he's hoping that one of these guys is going to come out and the rest of them are going to go jungle or something. Like, look at him. He's still hanging around waiting for something. He's keeping them in sight range. He wants it. He can taste it. But there's just no opportunity here. There's 4. Oh, wow. And they're going to drop the very opportune Sentry Ward, so he'd better make sure that he's not going down to that low ground.
He has pretty clear vision on them, though, and Brax will just keep on pushing down bottom. No Basilius or anything to fuel it, but he's doing more work than these Serpent Wards have thus far, and that's on an offlaner, so a lot of work being accomplished. Now the Ice Blast once again, but just going to hit on the Shadow Shaman, but KOTH falls through, immediately insta-gives him, and the Centaur's ultimate, it just gets popped by the Dream Coil. Do they reality in? Yeah, Spectre's on the front lines here. One more disable is all they need. Big right clicks with the Desolate Chilling Touch, but not enough to seal the deal. Now Ush is still level 9, doesn't want to commit to this, especially with the Weave debuff. And they retreat, just feeding kills away, and Brax is continuing to push. No fortification, this tower's gone.
Yeah, this is not going to be defensible, really, especially with SNA having just lost that. Fluff and Stuff almost got himself caught into between a rock and a hard place, as that Spectre was just out of sight range when he ran into that little cove. So they're going to just retire themselves into an early Roshan, make sure that they're feeling super, super ready, and they won't end up getting this tower. They're going to leave it just outside of deny range. Very intelligent move. Now the Nature's Prophet can go down there and get that whenever he wants, and he does not have to worry about the re-engagement potential coming out, especially with the Aegis going out onto the Spectre. This is going to be absolutely devastating SNA. It's only 4-8, and it's only not even a 5,000 gold lead for North American Rejects, but it just feels like North American Rejects are making this game follow whatever path they want. They have complete control over the pace.
We do see that there's going to be a pickup on the Dazzle. Nice Fissure into a Blink Initiation from the Shadow Shaman now that he has his dagger available, but I don't know if fast enough. The Roast dropping low. Aegis will be picked up by the Spectre, and they're able to get out without any problems at all. Ix Mike just now getting his Stampede. That was just a ton of golden experience they couldn't afford to lose. Like you said, it's close by the numbers, but as far as the potential that these numbers bring, the next 10 minutes don't bode well for Sneaky Nick's Assassins.
Blink Dagger on Ix Mike is a huge step in the right direction, though. Finally, they have a little bit of initiation. They had some counter initiation coming out of the Earthshaker before, but their ability to actually go up and take picks was fairly minimal up to this point. Now Ix Mike is going to have Stampede plus Blink Dagger. Might open up a little bit of space for Fluff and Stuff to get some farm as well. He's sitting at 900 gold and getting I mean, relatively for his support, he's kind of closest to his Blink Dagger. And Whitebeard's helping him farm it out, actually. They're just walking through the jungle together, hand in hand, making sure that that Blink Dagger comes out. If the Blink Daggers were up for that Roshan, that would have been a huge swing for SNA. The Blink into the pit with the Echo Slam in addition to the stun. As fun, it's going to be cut out here, and he's going to go down immediately.
2 ultis for a Dazzle, though. Like, he's just warding. He's the easiest pick-off in the world, but they just want kills so bad, so they're willing to commit to them pretty hard. KOTH might even try to farm wards, I don't know, but like in this position, they're just looking for it. So Stampede's on cooldown, Master Ward's on cooldown, so no tier 1 bottom, but they are, you know, in a position where KOTH could misstep. One thing I got to look at, though, you're talking about Blink Dagger's movements. Obviously, great item on Earthshaker, huge potential. But, oh, down bottom. Oh, gosh, going to get picked off. And Ike's Mike probably going to die to the Spectre. That last right click seals the deal, double shatter. And they move to finish off that tier 2, which was left so aptly at the low HP. But, yeah, like I was saying, like, Earthshaker gets the Blink Dagger, half the fights is going to be canceled by the Spectre's Haunt anyways. So, it's because they have such a great team against Blink Daggers, I don't know if it's really going to be the defining thing they need. They've already got 2.
Well, the Blink Dagger is really get them in to use their implicit skills well, and they certainly need it. It's bright. Fluff and stuff could go for a Force Staff if he wanted to, but he needs something to get himself in for that Echo Slam to initiate. Otherwise, they're basically waiting for North American Rejects to come to them on their terms, because North American Rejects have so much initiation and the counter initiation that comes out of the Spectre implicitly, like you were talking about with that Haunt, and with the Grave in combination with the Weave. SNA can't afford to waltz into any fight against the North American Rejects. They absolutely have to come out and use the element of surprise. Otherwise, they really have very minimal chances for winning a fight here. As the gold continues to sink in North American Rejects' favor, both gold and experience sitting a little over 5,000.
Yeah. They really do need a pick-off, something where they can just single out their opponent. But even if that does happen, what's the response from North American Rejects? The puck can TP to either the tier 1 bottom or a tier 2 in the other lanes, blink into the fight pretty quickly. The Nature's Prophet has global presence with that teleport, and then of course the Ice Blast will be flying in at a moment's notice. So if you're ganking on one person, you're probably going to be fighting 4. It's just a difficult position to be in, and it's still possible for them to dig their way out of it. Whitebeard getting some good steals like Dazzle's Weave certainly helps, but they just need so much out of this Luna, and it's just too early for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's even early for it, especially considering the fact that she did go for that Midas. So she's going for a more late game oriented build. She put off some of her mid game potential to help her get that BKB up basically for the initiations that are going to come later. Fluff and stuff is still trying to farm up that Blink Dagger, it looks like. And it does not look like Sneaky Nick's Assassins feel like they can push or engage until A, that Aegis is down, and B, Fluff and Stuff has his Blink Dagger and Ush has his BKB. But taking a look, that's going to mean that they're going to be engaging into Radiance, which is up now. So they're trying to buy time, but they're buying time into a very, very cruel and uncaring world for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just not looking good. They're going to go for a smoke. I think this is the smartest thing they can do is try to bait it out with the Luna. They're hoping there's an Observer Ward here. Luna will farm Ancients and they'll be waiting in the wings, but since they see people on the map, they just make a rotation instead. Luna will farm with relative safety here, and they're going to try to bait them from coming from the top lane. Not sure if it'll work out. The Ice Blast is going to head in for SNA, and here comes the initiation. So we see that they will get the big nuke damage onto Puck, but dropping down the Centaur immediately. Now we see Echo Slam comes out onto 2, but Spectre just shrugs it off. The Dispersion has a point in it and is tanky enough just to withstand. Now they have taken down 4. They are looking for this tier 2 tower, and it should be no problem at all.
I can't help but wonder if the Stampede going off before the Blink stun from IX Mike clued off the Puck that he needed to be ready for that phase shift, because he nailed it, and Ice Mike jumped in and stunned nobody. So complete whiff on that initiation. Can't help but wonder if he had saved onto that giant alarm bell that goes off with the Stampede just to try and blink in and grab the stun first and then let his team come in. If maybe he would have been able to land that double edge on the Puck and at least get something out of that exchange. Yeah. That feels a little bit like a GG moment, to be 100% honest. I mean, they're not completely out of it. It's only 6-14, but the gold lead is almost 12,000 now. Ganoms is up on the AA before 19 or before 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what they're looking at. They're looking at Shadowblade up on Nature's Prophet. He's working on his Sheeper. KOTH's working on his Sheeper. He's got his Blink Dagger. Spectre has a Radiance. A Ganon's up on the Ancient Apparition. Dazzle's the only one who's not unreasonably farmed. And he got several kills.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just a difficult position to be in. Of course, he will go for the Black King bar, try to tank up a little bit, survive through all of this nuke, all of this damage, but I just don't know. We're going to see Dota eat an Ice Blast, and you just look at how quickly his health can drop with just a couple of abilities. If KOTH was even 500 units closer, that would have been a kill without even risking his own person, but he didn't have enough range to get in on top of him, and they don't want to waste too many cooldowns just for one single attempt.
Yeah.
BKB up in about 600 gold, and from there things look a little brighter, but it's a really uphill battle for them.
Yeah, it's not uphill, it's up mountain. They have to overcome so much just to get themselves back into fighting shape. The BKB is still not up on the or the Luna. Wow, I'm all over the map today. Still not up on the Luna at 20 minutes. So, yeah, the Luna has actually fallen behind the Puck in terms of farm, about to fall behind the Nature's Prophet. In terms of actualized usable farm, Ush is sitting just narrowly ahead of the Ancient Apparition. So that Midas isn't offering a whole lot in terms of combat.
And honestly, neither is the Helm of the Dominator. We look at the bottom, we'll talk about that in a second. We do see a Haunted Ho Snaking doing so much work against Dota, even under the Serpent Wards. Brax running away!
Oh!
No, he will fall. The Dust of Appearance, keeping the vision, no disjoints here. But either way, it sets up their hard carry for a double kill, and then he goes off to farm the jungle. Like, that's the worst case scenario, is losing a Prophet and feeding your carry 2 kills. But yeah, the other piece of information is like the Helmlet Dominator on the Luna. What is that even accomplishing? Like, she's not really controlling her Ancients and stacking them very effectively, because right now North American Rejects just have too much map control. And when it comes down to the lifesteal, that's going to be nullified by the Ice Blast. So you've got some attack damage, you've got some armor, but otherwise a pretty weak pickup.
I think the overall goal of that Helm of the Dominator was that Sneaky Nyx Assassins tend to like to jam into their opponents and force them up like a ship in a bottle, just kind of cork them in there. And that prevents that AA from being as effective with that Ice Blast and minimizes the chances of that Luna from being caught in it, because the close range makes it much more difficult to land. However, that's obviously not how it's working out. The BKB coming out will help, and that will also help keep that Luna's lifesteal active, because if the BKB is popped before the Ice Blast lands, then that Luna's going to be all right. But, yeah, I agree. The Helm of the Dominator not really helping out, and honestly, her team just needs damage and initiation. So anything, Yasha first would have even been probably better. Get both damage and some move speed for the initiations. She's going up and trying to farm out single camps of Ancients. That's how desperate she is.
Yeah, and I mean, there's really no alternative. Right now, at this stage, she gets her BKB, has her allies nearby, she has to farm something. Because they have to cluster around as 5, you might as well take the biggest piece of the pie, but it's just not much, to be honest. Right now, we do see that they're lurking around Roshan. That would be a very convenient Aegis the Immortal, and they do have that Ags up on the AA, throwing it out up on the top lane, and it's going to do a lot of damage to Luna. Like, they might try to go for a global here. Radiance, Wrath of Nature, and that's a dead Luna. But they're not going to commit. They just are happy to dissuade her from fighting for the next, like, 30 seconds, and that'll set them up for this Roche very nicely.
Yeah, Chilling Touch coming out. There's, of course, the immense damage coming out of the Spectre. This Roche is going to absolutely melt. And there is nothing that SNA could do, even if they were aware of it, which they probably are. But, honestly, what could they possibly do? Even if they could get over there, which, once again, they can't. Mm-hmm. There's just... They are trying to buy as much time as possible, hoping that North American Rejects are going to make a mistake. And Sneaky Nyx Assassins rarely, if ever, call GG before they lose a Rax.
And Rubik gets picked from the global. Ice Blast plus the Wrath of Nature. Easy pickings for them.
Yeah, it's just... Any of their supports can fall down to that now. The Earthshaker can fall down to that. The Rubik can fall down to that. The Shadow Shaman, who's not even a support, can fall down to that. Even the Centaur Warrunner might be susceptible to a global death if it's executed properly.
Yeah, all 3. That's all they need, is just to commit 3. And that's pretty much North American Rejects holding Sneaky Nyx Assassins' lives in their hands. We do see BKB popped off on SNA, trying to bring down KOTH, but the Shackle won't last long enough. He just orb phase jaunts out. and Centaur is going to have to pop his ulti just to get the Shadow Shaman out with his BKB-10 and wards wasted.
Brax started to farm out the Serpent Wards while standing in them, and then had to turn and run away. Not quite as tanky in the face of those wards as I think he thought he was, because of how far ahead his team is. It's really easy to forget that your hero is in fact mortal, and those Serpent Wards still have quite a bite to them. Korok is going to run in here. Ush is probably going to do that. He's going to walk into the Ice Blast. Fluff and Stuff is now trying to get in with the Fisher. He throws down the Echo Slam and gets a bunch of creeps and nothing else. Ice Might drops down, and Spectre is just going to charge in. The stolen Dream Coil is going to try to hold him still, but he does not even care. He's going to charge in anyway. If he dies, he'll just come back. That's a 5-man Wyke, an ultra kill streak, and the GG comes out. We're going to be looking toward a game 2 of this best-of-3 series.
Yeah, that was just so strong from North American Rejects, and Sneaky Nix Assassin need to change up their game plan. It really didn't work out there the way they intended it to. There were a couple of things in the draft, like getting the Dazzle and the Ancient Apparition, even in Phase 2 picking it up. That was kind of surprising, and in general, they knew what kind of strategy they were looking for, and despite some good movements against the puck early, one misstep, and the game falls apart. Only getting 7 kills in this 25-minute game. Sneaky Nix Assassin is down 1 game in the best-of-3, so we'll see Game 2 in just a few minutes. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Once again, this is the Dota Trash King of the Hill, and we thank you guys for tuning in. I am Blaze. If you enjoy the commentary or don't, you can either critique or follow me on twitter.com/blazecasting, and the same for Gorgon. He's over at Got Cow Dota.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming in and tuning in to Dota Trash. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game number 2.
Thanks.